I'd like to call the meeting to order. Everyone please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can we have the town clerk do roll call?
Sorry.
Councilwoman Aldridge. Here. Councilman Facade.
Here.
Councilman Alfieri.
Present.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Here.
Supervisor Delvecchio.
Here.
Town Attorney Emily Spencer. Here. All present.
Okay. Adoption of the agenda as is.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Receipt and acceptance of the minutes from the workshop meeting on 7/6/22 and workshop meeting 8/1/22. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All official correspondence are on file at the town clerk's office. And before we get to the oral reports, I have a couple things that came across my desk before the meeting tonight, late. First one I thought was going to be is going to be a great thing, and I'm going to have Emily take a look at it. I believe, and this was brought to my attention by Mr. Gary Veter, the state has passed a law, and the way it reads, in a nutshell, because it's kind of long, that the state is giving local towns, cities, and villages their own jurisdiction over their own speed limits in their town.
Wow.
Yeah. So if that's the case, and if this is really, and I believe it's effective immediately, so if you could pass that down to Emily.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to make sure we could check all that out ASAP, and this way we could start making some adjustments to some real problem areas in our town. That was great news.
That's been a long time coming.
Also, I received a nice little letter. I like to read the nice little letters out. Good evening, Supervisor Delvecchio. Just wanted to pass along some appreciation for your building department. I've had a few interactions prior to and after the purchase of our home on Bristol Drive, 2019, and they've all been wonderful. Sarah, in particular, today helped me with an application for a building permit for our deck, and she was great. You can always count on a friendly face and a pleasant experience. Makes me proud to live here. Love to hear that. That's great. So just wanted to pass that along to everybody. It all came like at the end of the day. All right. So without any further ado, we're going to move to our oral comment reports, presentations. The first one up is Greg Bolner from CPL on the new town hall. This was passed along, I believe, to everybody.
Oh, was it?
Via email. I'm almost
Oh,
positive.
okay. I wasn't sure if everybody got a copy of this proposal or
Or
not.
maybe not.
It is double-sided.
Thank you for having me here tonight to just kind of go over a little bit on the town hall update. So at the last meeting I presented, we had the basic floor plan, schematic floor plan. We had a cost estimate based on general names, types, numbers, so square foot numbers. There were some questions of the public, there were some questions of the town, and some concerns. So what we did is we put together a proposal to basically go to the next step, which would basically be to kind of do that evaluation. So as we went through the proposal, we're talking about going ahead, verifying all the measurements for the building itself to make sure that there's no issues associated with the floor plans that we've laid out, that there's no ingress, egress items that would need to be addressed that weren't already identified. Go through and identify any asbestos abatement requirements, so we'll do an asbestos survey. We've already contacted a subconsultant to do that work. go ahead and look at the well. I know that the town had previously done due diligence with regards to the health department approvals, and I've actually looked at those records as well. But this would actually be doing, not a full-blown pump test, but a pump test to determine whether or not the well can. And I think this is obviously a good test doing it now because we've had such a dry season to do the pump test, and then at the same time to basically load the septic system to make sure that the septic system will work. So we basically do both of those. Go ahead and get some water quality analysis for the existing well. It's all health department approved, but just to ensure the town that there's no upsets, and that was the main thing that's as part of our cost estimate. The town was just concerned that they don't want to get halfway into this project and find out there's a big upset. We're also having here the code review to make sure that there's issues. Well, I brought up last time one of the big question marks is whether or not the fire code would be required sprinkler. So we would go through that code analysis. We'll review that with the building inspector to make sure that he's comfortable with our analysis so that we can assure the town one way or the other either the fire sprinkler system will or will not be required. We'll also look at getting a submittal to the Office of Court Administration for the schematic design of the courtroom to get their conceptual or approval of the conceptual design before we go further into a final design. Again, just to make sure that we're going in the right direction, that our cost estimates are as accurate as can be with regards to scope. We'd look at some exterior facade renderings to give the town some ideas of whether or not they want to make any modifications to the exterior facade or if they want to keep it the way it is. We'll look at the HVAC system, how we're going to how we'll do the duct work in the first floor primarily, since there isn't really a ceiling space. The drop ceiling was taken out. We need that height for the courtroom, so we need to see how we're going to do that duct work, how we would lay out the HVAC and the duct work. Also looking at the upstairs as well, but if there's a little more flexibility because most of the duct work is in the attic space. Again, same thing with plumbing, electrical, making sure that the electrical service is properly sized, that we're, again, just trying to identify any big ticket items that would be of issue. I skipped over it, but we're also having here the structural evaluation because we will be having some changes in uses with the upstairs identification of storage areas. Those require a heavier floor loading, so we'll take a look at the structural, basically the trusses between the first and second floor to make sure that those are designed or can be supported for either a community space, which is in that one area, or the storage of the vault or other storage. So those are some loading issues that we'd be looking at. And then also the last thing on the list was to prepare advanced demolition plan suitable for bidding so that we can go ahead and identify those things that are going to be removed from the structure, go ahead and do that demolition and have that out of the way, because it's not based on what the proposed work is for the building. None of that is going to necessarily impact the next contractor, so we'll go ahead and do all of the demolition. As part of that, backing up a little bit to the structure, making sure that we're not removing any walls that are structural walls that are going to create an issue. So that's kind of basically, that fits into what we're doing. It fits in also with the proposal that not the proposal, but the cost estimate that we had provided to the town previously that had identified the soft cost or design cost at approximately 12% of the construction estimate, and then this works out to be about 25% of that cost, so that it gets all of that upfront work. We can hone in better on those cost estimates, and then we'll be much better along. We'll go ahead and create a more detailed layout to scale of everything bringing in the floor plan, so we have that already done. Then it's just a matter of doing all the details and everything, all of that additional work to have design drawings and construction drawings. But it'll get us a long ways along towards getting the drawings done and then vetting out any of those items where if we didn't identify it in the cost estimate. I know there's a couple of questions that come up about whether or not we had included all of the electrical and controls and wiring, and all of that was in there. I apologize, at the time when the question was asked, it was lumped into one basic number, which again, as I had indicated previously, when we came up with that number, it is pretty much a general square foot type number that we came up with. What we'd be doing now is then taking it to that next level and identifying, the specific cost elements that go in to the final cost estimate. So that's the proposal there. We made a few minor changes to the floor plan to address the questions about a space for the maintenance staff. So we created a little office where the bookkeeper's office was. We kind of split that between the bookkeeper's office and the town board offices. We split that into 3 office spaces that we'd have space for all 3 of those uses. So.
I think we just changed one modification for the moving the front door, correct?
Correct. We moved the front door over. I apologize, I didn't bring those floor plans with me. We moved the front door over so that it had the ability to have the security entrance for both the meeting room and the courtroom, so that you'd come in that front door, you go through the security and go to the right if you're going to the meeting room, you'd go straight ahead if you're going to the courtroom, and then they would just have a couple of tables like they have now, and it would just be a matter of moving that table from one side to the other to direct the people to which room they're going to.
Yeah, it was just a minor little thing, the 2 entrances, which didn't, actually our constables brought it to the attention. And if they were in the center, it would be safer and probably more feasible. I thought it was great move.
Yeah, I'll get those floor plans back out to everyone. I apologize. I thought I had a copy with me, but I do not.
1, 2, okay.
So I guess, so the next steps would just for the town to authorize us to move forward on this, and I don't know if we need to have a resolution for the next meeting for that.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Right. No.
You'd like me to write that up?
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Has any of the stuff that you've done already, is it covered by any of this?
No.
This is all new stuff?
Yes, this is all new stuff. We pretty much took the floor plan that was provided by a previous consultant, and we were using that as the best floor plan, and we haven't done any specific measurements to make sure that everything is in line. We'll also go through the building file to make sure that everything that we've got can work with that. I need to get with the building department to see what else they have on structural, but this is going forward. Yes.
And then if we do all of this for the lump sum, what would be the next step after you complete all this work? Would you be preparing for the bid, or?
That would be preparing, basically, at that point, generally we look at design drawings and construction drawings, but because we're going to this level of effort at this point, we're probably looking at the next step would be to go straight to construction drawings, because we're not, there's not like the only difference would be is with the court administration. We might have to take another step with that group, with the court administration, because they want to see that approval level, but you're not looking at submitting this for approval from the standpoint of SED or some other state agency, so we'd be going straight to construction drawings.
Okay. And then, is this kind of the timeline order of events? So for example, like the asbestos, where you were talking about the load factor on the second floor, do you have a plan, if we do this, to kind of check into those early on? for the fact that that could add a huge expense to the cost estimate that you gave us last meeting, or?
You know, we really looked at it from the standpoint of going at this in a direction from that standpoint. I mean, we probably will try to get the asbestos, we've already contacted asbestos abatement or asbestos, anyways, for an asbestos survey. So we've already contacted a firm for that and gotten a number from them. I have not gotten a schedule from them as to when they can do it, but we'd probably try to get that done immediately. The structural, I don't see as it's more of it's going to create a design issue, but it's not a showstopper. The asbestos abatement, it won't be a showstopper, but it could be a significant cost. Same with the well and the septic. That's probably the three primary items that could create a big cost, because if you have to drill in a well or if you have to put in a septic system, that was not included in our cost estimate. As far as the structural, we did have a line item in there for some reinforcing beams in our cost estimate. I can't remember exactly. So we did have a line item in there for doing some reinforcing. But one of the things we're looking at is the storage area is mainly going to be above the court offices, so you have those walls that could become structural walls. The bigger concern would be potentially the I think we call it a community room, which would be above the courtroom. So those would be two large spaces. We may have to look at that and look at possibly reducing the occupancy of that space, because I think that was being looked at as not as a meeting room like this, but more of a small gathering room. And then the other big item is the safe. We need to make sure that we have structural support underneath that, and that currently is above the meeting room, so we may have to adjust that to make sure that that's not going to create a structural issue.
Anyone else? Greg, you gonna hang around for a couple of questions, maybe from the residents?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Greg Bolner. I don't see any of our county legislators here tonight, but I do know that they're having a meeting. I believe there's something else going on up at Camp Teaming as well. I'm sure they're there. And so we'll move right to, we have with us Mobile Life. Tim from Mobile Life is here tonight.
Thank you, John. Here.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Tim Scannell. I'm Vice President of Mobile Life Support. And Mobile Life is an ambulance service based here in the Hudson Valley. We've been around for about 40 years. We've been serving Dutchess County for about 20 of those 40 years. And here in Pleasant Valley for, I believe it's the last 8 or 9 years. And it all starts to blend together after a while. I'm sorry, but about 8 or 9 years. But our approach, we've been serving Pleasant Valley for, again, as I said, for about 8 or 9 years. And we currently provide a specific service during 5 in the morning until 5 at night, Monday to Friday. The Volunteer Rescue Squad, they cover the dispatches on the evenings and the overnight hours as well as weekend. And Mobile Life just covers where there's a shortage of volunteers during the day, so we'll cover the daytime work from 5 in the morning until 5 at night. And basically, we've been asked to produce, looking at the cost increases that we've endured, from increasing payroll costs to healthcare costs, fuel, we all fill up at the pump, and our commercial insurance, which we should probably note to the town board. We name the town of Pleasant Valley as additionally insured, and we have a hold harmless clause in the contract, so we protect the town against any liability. And so for the renewal of the existing contract I have there was $207,500 for 2023. and just looking at it, and that's built off of the cost, our reimbursements. It's basically how we cover our costs, which are labor, equipment, and insurance are the biggest pieces of that. Is from a fee-for-service model, that is, we'll bill the patient's insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, any of the commercial carriers. We have to take assignment from the insurance companies as well as from Medicare and Medicaid, and then there's about a 14 or 15% uninsured rate. But that being said, if there's a shortfall in the costs, because the unit is dedicated to the town makes up the difference in the cost, and that's where we arrive at the figures. So that's kind of the 30,000-foot view, the Reader's Digest version. One other point is probably worth pointing out too is in Pleasant Valley there's about 1,200 or so ambulance calls a year, but just under half of those are actually in the hours of operation when we are there. So there's about a 550 to 600 calls that's in our mix that we cover during those days of the week during the daytime hours. Questions?
Anybody?
I would be more interested in the fire department to see if they had questions.
Well, we're going to open it up to the,
We can open it, I mean, I don't have a problem opening up to the fire department, the fire commissioners and the chiefs that are here.
I've got no problem with that either. So let's dedicate a microphone and
Yeah.
maybe have one of you guys come on up, or one at a time, come on up and ask your question.
Yeah, I'll officially make a motion that we open up the floor to the fire commissioners present in the building, as well as the two fire chiefs that are
I
here.
second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Jim,
How you doing?
over here.
I'm going to talk right with them.
Okay.
How you doing? John, Commissioner Albrecht. A couple questions. We do have, we do probably have the calls right now. Right now, to this date, 375 calls are done by the volunteers. And we, as a board and as a chief staff, we are looking to increase our time. We're asking the board to increase the time, I don't know, as well as Mobile Life, from 5 a.m., because this is a tough time for us. We turn a couple calls over, and I'm having trouble getting off the floor because there's so many calls. We have right now 8 EMTs responding to 375 calls so far this year. So if you do the math, it's taxing to our volunteers. We're looking to get new volunteers right now, but right now you're looking at 200 hours just to become an EMT in training. So a lot of people don't want to become EMTs, but if we do get EMTs, we lose them to Mobile Life for, this guy steals them from us. So,
I think you got about 50 more.
so I'm asking the town board if we can change the hours. I mean, I'm asking you as well. 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. And on Saturday and Sunday, 5 to 5.
Well, what we can, here, if I can,
Go ahead.
I'll keep it open. What we can do is when we were asked for the renewal of the existing, what we can do is we can look at that, and then we can come back with what we think, because I have to rebuild the cost out, because it's a different call volume, and there are different
we
days of the week
understand
and
that,
everything
right.
else.
So
So I can go back, but that's.
Let me help you guys out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to ask questions that you may have on your mind, and hopefully it will have as a subcommittee from this board, meet with a subcommittee from your board, and with Mobile Life, and this way we can come to some kind of conclusion on some of these changes or adjustments. So for now, let's just keep it to questions that Tim can answer.
Okay.
Proposals, we'll do it at a later date.
Okay. You have other questions?
So to answer that, I can, but I need some
Right,
time.
I'm
and I
saying,
need just
I'm
officially
asking
what
permission to the
hours are.
board, really, because the board's the one that has to okay
Thank you.
the extra cost, which is going to be on this, so we can get the subcommittee together, but I understand you're in budget time too, so it's a little time to crunch some numbers for you guys.
Just for a point of order, actually, Emily, I have a question for you that you might not have the answer to, but as far as the fire district and the cost of this that's put onto the taxpayers, is that really the town board's purview, if you will? I mean, like, the fire district has its own district, very much like the library does, right? So my thought was that the fire district should set this tax, not us, because it's not.
The fire district covers the same area as the town.
No, it's
You-
different.
Let me stop everybody. These are things that negotiate. It's a good question. And these are things we talk when we go into the subcommittees and negotiating. We're trying to negotiate something here. Ask a question, have Tim answer it, and then we can go from there, okay? But these, you have questions on your minds that we've discussed before, okay? I've asked questions, I will ask them again, and I was hoping to let you guys go first, but go right ahead, ask any question you have of Mobile Life.
Okay. Well,
Would you consider changing the hours, is basically in a nutshell? We're asking for a little additional help. We have, like they said, some dedicated people that don't want to give up their volunteer ambulance corps.
I'm just looking at it, I'd say yes to answer your question, yes.
At least take a look at it with us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No problem. We absolutely look at it.
Okay.
The only reason I'm thinking
not.
just
We
to be
don't-
more creative.
we didn't expect
when
you to say
we go
yes or
into
no, right?
16-hour shifts, do we need to split them? I mean, I'm thinking operationally,
right.
do I need to split out 16-hour tours or not? Weekends, do we do two 6-hour shifts? Stuff like that, because
I think our main
that's
concern
an
was,
operational issue and not for
our main
for us to
concern was
work
you would
out.
at least look into it with us.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the only question?
Yeah.
Hold on. Melissa, didn't you have some questions? No?
I feel very well informed.
Okay, excellent.
all right, that's really what our concern is, because that's the weakest time for us as a, EMS division, when it can respond. So, daily crew time, there's no, I got, one wasn't here right now, daily crew time, we have no problem responding, so, but it's just those extra hours that we're having a little trouble. And also, we have a lot of second and third calls in the district, so we can, help them out as well for backfilling, which you already have a contract with them to backfill, but that's always hard to do as well.
Right.
So,
Well, in our contract, there is not a backfill provision necessarily for the second call. We do the mutual aid, but maybe it's how the nomenclature backfill. We don't, when the first unit goes out, I don't send the second unit over to stand by in case that second call drops. I think that's worth pointing out in interest of full disclosure, though. But we do, we move the calls, we try and position it out in our Arlington station, but with that, this way we could cover Arlington, Rochdale, and Pleasant Valley as well, so it's somewhat shared. I think that's
Our
probably
understanding
worth
was
pointing out.
different about that, but that's,
Yeah.
we, like you said, the nomenclature. So
Yeah.
Okay.
really,
That it, gentlemen?
I think that's-
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
so we could get together, subcommittee, whatever you want to do, we need to
Okay.
get on this as soon as possible, so.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Councilman Reifel.
Before we move on, is there any chance that we can talk amongst ourselves and decide on 2 people to be on that committee so we can authorize them to start discussing negotiating with them? So does anybody want to be on that committee?
Well, I've already
Okay, so you're on
the
that.
process. She can't.
Yeah.
You want to be on?
Do you want to be on it, Keith? I don't care, I can be on.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I make a motion that allows Supervisor DeValchio and Councilman O'Hanlon to sit down with the fire commissioners and Mobile Life to discuss this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Tim, if you just hang a little bit in case the public have any questions at all, that'd be great. Of course. Okay. We brought up a little topic a couple weeks back and finally got everybody here to help us along. So there was a company called Bus Patrol, and they made a proposal to put cameras and that kind of apparatus onto those school buses, and to catch people who are actually passing school buses and doing illegal things that could put the life of children in danger. And so we brought them here today to maybe make a presentation to that fact. And I was pretty amazed myself as to how many people still do that. It was mind-blowing to me. And so we have with us two different people. We have Corey from the actual bus patrol and Owen Rafter. Did I get it right? I'm not going to spell it. From the county. Here with us today to explain a little bit about it and help us digest whether we want to go through with this or not. So I don't know who wants to go first.
Sure.
So again, good evening, good afternoon, Commissioner of Planning and Development for Dutchess County. 2019, New York State adopted Section 1174 of the Motor Vehicle Traffic Law. This law enables counties, cities, towns, or villages to establish a demonstration program which imposes military liability on the owner of the vehicle for failure to stop for a school bus. So, the county has entered into, we passed a local law in 2020, local law number 1, which enabled us to do this program in Dutchess County. That enabled it to be done countywide across all of the jurisdictions. We flew RFP and selected a vendor, Bus Patrol, in January of 2020. I worked with them through September of 2021 to actually implement the program. COVID, as you know, caused a lot of delays, and that was one of them that took a lot of time to do this. There are 14 separate school districts in Dutchess County. We actually have to enter into an agreement with each of the school districts to enable this to work. It's active in 7 of those districts. We're in discussion with 5, and one school district has opted out. That's the Rhinebeck School District, primarily because the town of Rhinebeck opted out from the program for the jurisdictional review. The city of Poughkeepsie is unique in the sense that their school district is contiguous with the city boundary, so they have to adopt their own separate resolution. It can't be done under the county program. So we began late in 2020 with the Pine Plains School District. The system is installed on 676 different vehicles throughout those 7 districts, and through July, there's been 3,600 violations issued. Applause for dramatic effect. 3,600 violations. So, the main point of this program is to catch those violators and stop them from doing it again. That is what we're trying to do, to educate and enforce the dangers that people are doing through this program. So, Corey can go into better detail than I on the actual technology and equipment, but the equipment is automated. The bus drivers don't do anything. When the stop arm is deployed, the cameras are activated. If a vehicle passes by that, it captures still images and video images of the vehicle, and the vehicle's owner, the registered vehicle's owner, receives the violation. They get that violation in the mail. They can pay the violation. If they feel there was an error, they can contest it, and they can have a court date for the proceeding. So the first violation is $250, goes up to $275 and $300 for first, second, and third violations. The photos for the violation are only viewed by the enforcement technicians. Bus Patrol offers additional inside cameras for the school districts they can use for their own security and safety protocols. But our county enforcement technicians cannot see that data, and they cannot see the external data. So there is kind of a firewall between the two equipment. The school districts do not pay anything for the equipment. All of the federal revenue that is generated through this program pays for that equipment. The split is 9% to the county, 10% to the local municipality, and that is based on the New York State Law 1174A, so the percentage is set out in that. And then we negotiated in the contract with Bus Patrol a 60-40% split where they get 60% of the revenue and we get 40% of that. So that's from that original 90. So that's the 20,000-foot level on the program. Then Corey, I don't know if you wanted to add anything specifics about the equipment. Sure.
Good evening. My name is Corey Fenley. I work for Bus Patrol. I'm the program manager for Dutchess County, as well as Niagara Falls, and we're soon to be managing Nassau, one of the major towns in Nassau County, the town of Hempstead, this upcoming school year. Basically, I did have a chance to watch the video of the last board meeting, and I'm willing to address some of your concerns on anything, but I just had some high points that I want to talk about regarding that. Is one of them was
is this really worth it? Are the cameras worth the burden or the perceived burden that it would put on your local jurisdictional court? And I've worked with the courts in every single town and have identified any sort of issues and said, hey, along with the special prosecutors, and, we're going to set a time that works for the court and the special prosecutor. So let's say the court's preference is 12 tickets before they go to court. Well, then we're going to honor that, and the special prosecutor will have the evidence, be able to review it, just like they get the same evidence that you would get as if you got a ticket. So if you got a ticket mailed to you, you plug in your license plate, the notice of violation number, and you can review all the evidence that would be presented at pretrial or a trial in the court. Nothing more, nothing less. In addition to what a violator would see versus what a prosecutor would see, is the prosecutor would be privy to any sort of phone calls that were made to bus patrol in regards to correspondence. Hey, the violator calls and says, I received this in the mail, I want to contest it. All that's documented internally through bus patrol, and we take care of all that. All the correspondence taken care of by bus patrol, in addition to all the court dockets, and at the preference of the court, sometimes it's 7 days, sometimes it's 14 days, and so on and so forth. How they want to be notified for the upcoming dates, what transpires in Dutchess and in Niagara as what would be different in larger cities or counties with 200,000 people in population or more. It's an administrative court. You guys don't have it in Dutchess County. Most counties in New York don't have it. New York City, Nassau, Suffolk are just a few. But on the eastern end of Long Island, you also have justice courts as well. And so we've seen these go into court in front of judges. If the court needs any sort of electronics, TVs, items like that, we supply it. We'll come, I'll set it up. I've done it at a couple courts out in the east end of Long Island. I'll set them up with a 50-inch TV and a rolling cart, push it out, whatever it may be, whatever the court needs to adjudicate in a proper fashion. Laptops for special prosecutors, if they don't want to use theirs, we'll provide it. So just to speak on my background real quick, is for the better part of 20 years, I was in the New York City Police Department. I was in the highway patrol and a motorcycle unit, and I did enforcement for many years, for about half my career, and then transferred over into accident reconstruction. And my background is fatalities. I can tell you this is in two occasions in Suffolk County and also Harnett County in Georgia, we've seen vehicles pass on the right side, and if it wasn't up to what the bus driver was doing and being alert and attentive, we would have had children struck. I've watched the videos. I've assisted the Harnett County Sheriff's Office that has now pushed that to the state police to locate vehicles. With my background, I was able to identify the vehicle by watching video, breaking it down, getting a plate number, and assisting in that way. Same thing in Southhold, in Long Island, small community, and we're just seeing people, instead of passing on the left where the cameras are on the bus, now they're beginning to pass on the right, which is crazy to me. I personally have been a part of two collision investigations where there was fatalities in the borough of Brooklyn involving school time transportation fatalities, one with 2 children, one with one child, was run over by a yellow school bus, and one was with alternative transportation through a yeshiva. So the needs for this. I left the police department and retired only to take this position. I was actively engaged in the police department, and this was what I felt I would do, and walk away from the police department after 21 years and 2 months. When it comes to privatized law enforcement, that's a question, right? Why is Bus Patrol taking over privatized enforcement? Well, as you all know, cameras, they're here to stay. Whether they're on the local deli, at the firehouse, the police station, they're there, right? So cameras are not new to anybody. So when you compare police enforcement to camera enforcement, I can tell you that from doing enforcement of my career, you can only pull over one car. That takes 15 minutes. Bus is gone. These cameras capture 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 cars on one stop. It's impossible. It's impossible for the police to do it. In addition, it opens up the ability for the police to go somewhere else and do something else of lower priority. That's my opinion, and I believe wholeheartedly that that's a fact when it comes to capturing these violations. So the commissioner spoke about revenue split. So bus camera enforcement, there's also another aspect of it that's sometimes lost, right? So when you turn on the lights, wherever it may be, people are they're more likely to slow down when they see lights come on. So when you go over speed, and you just spoke earlier about this lowering the speed limit in areas, right? So I came from a city that lowered the speed limit from 35 to 25. Fatalities decrease exponentially when speed goes down. So if you can go from 20 miles an hour to 30 to 40, it goes from 8% to 20 to 40%, resulting in fatality. So you strike somebody at 40 miles an hour, and it's 40% higher chance of a fatality. Those are facts. You can go on the NHTSA website, you can go on the Vision Zero website. These numbers are out there. These are legitimate numbers. And I can tell you is, I've had the not such nice in my career to go and speak to family members where their children have died in vehicle accidents, maybe not necessarily in buses for the most part. One is trying. That's it. It only takes one. And in a community like this, in Dutchess County, if you can stop one, then you're ahead of the game. And slowing down vehicles, when you turn on the yellow lights, you turn on the red lights, you're going to create a safer environment for pedestrians that are out on the roadway, crossing, whatever it may be. At intersections, not at intersections, vehicles are just going to slow down. And the last thing I'll talk about is discretion, right? So you get pulled over by a policeman, discretion, right? There's courtesy cards, there's excuses, and the police come in with discretion. These cameras, zero discretion. This is the law, this is what it says, you get a violation. It doesn't matter if you're the mayor of New York City or the governor of New York State. If it's your car, you're getting a ticket. It doesn't go away. So, I mean, that's a super positive thing. It takes away from any sort of involvement or any sort of corruption when it comes to tickets. And I was in New York City when they had the ticket fixing scandal, so I know about it firsthand. And that's it. I'm going to answer whatever questions you have for me.
Anyone have anything?
So the 90-10 split, So if they want to come to court, is the court still allowed to charge court fees on top of the fee that you're charging, or how does that exactly work?
Excuse me. So, in New York State, there is a law where when we do vehicle traffic citations, there's not usually a fee assessed to it. Actually, they went back to Suffolk County because they were charging an administrative fee, and they said, you can't do that anymore. You know, and they made it a law where you can't charge fees on top of that. Now, in the Justice Court, this is administrative court. Now, in Justice Court, there's no fees right now. None of the special prosecutors have stated any sort of fees that the court will do. Basically, if they go into pretrial, they're set on a docket. Basically, they have up until that day of pretrial. So usually we'll see numbers of people who have waited, now they get the mailing, and the night before, they pay. Because once they go into the pretrial, then all that money goes into the court will take that fee, goes out to the comptroller's office, and then they send it back. So that's just the way that the office of the state comptroller works. No?
What else? Well, thank you very much, and would you mind just hanging out, because we're going to open up to the public, and if there's any questions from the public.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting up to the public for agenda items only.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. And so what we're going to do, if we can, folks, if you have questions for any one of our presenters, first, please, let's hear from you folks, because they are here to answer anything you have to ask, and I'd like to get them home too, so let's take them first. If you have anything
So
for them.
just to clarify for them, if they only have a question for them, but they have other questions, they'll be allowed to come up, ask, sit down further, and they'll be able to come up afterwards?
So I would like to take this opportunity, you can either ask Mr. Greg Bollner, Tim, or any of the gentlemen from the Bus Patrol who presented tonight, anything for them. I still say you need your own entrance music.
Just a history. There was, that I know of, one fatality with the passing of a school bus in Pleasant Valley, my neighbor.
Anyone else? Not hearing anything for the folks that are here who made presentations. I want to thank you all, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Appreciate it. And
Yeah, thank you, guys.
we'll be hearing from you soon, or you'll be hearing from us, either one.
Do we have anybody else for any other agenda items?
Sure.
Carol Campbell, Marshall Road, Still Point. Couple of things. I appreciate the attachments with the agenda. I appreciate the attachments with the agenda. Thank you very much. And the town hall looks beautiful. I haven't been here in a very long time. Congratulations to making it look so good. So I'd like to address Supervisor DeVecchio and all of the council members. I do want to talk about the building fees, but I'm going to reserve that until after the board has an opportunity to discuss what that might be about. It's kind of hard to talk about the building fees without knowing what is going to be discussed. I would like to talk about number 6, the bank account for Helen Aldridge. When I first read this was inexcusable. I'm not sure rec funds were put into the general fund savings account, that is a definite no. And, these funds were for improvements to which I should never have been commingled. I feel that at the time these funds were under a hurdle, and that would have been the reason that they ended up on an account that they should have known. And because the board's doing this resolution, they definitely were in an account. Set up a capital improvement account for Aldridge. That's just something I threw out there for consideration. The resolution says you're moving $345,638.60, and that's fine, and I'm happy to say that amount, but at the end of the resolution, it says that it's subject to the exact calculation by the town bookkeeper. I respectfully suggest that the board table this resolution until the exact amount calculated to the resolution. It's always based on the resolution and the exact amount, especially if the controller comes in and looks at it and everybody's asking for it. I'm going to personally like the one right there on the resolution. The next one I wanted to talk about is number 8, the local law, repealing Chapter 95 and amending Chapter 28, the proposed local law bill of 2022. Junk cars on properties, reports, and I agree with making sure that we have the right type of mechanism in order to address that. Surrounding properties, it's not overlook for people visiting our town. I have a couple of things that I want to discuss, and I understand this is going to be a public hearing coming up on this, so please just bear with me when I make a couple of comments, and I'll come and talk about that at that time. Exemptions for, it says motor vehicles kept in store by daily license and operating vehicle repair shops, etc. I think that there is a retirement, there's a piece in there that talks about what it does. I've seen an awful lot of repair shops in here that have cars sitting there, they're not there for repair. Because they're just sitting there. So I would suggest that we have a retirement on cars that are on those type of businesses would also be good. Like I said, the temporary standards for property uses are that would be something to look at for repair shops. Number 5, an antique or classic automobile, provided that the approval of the zoning administrator such automobiles kept under conditions not constituting a public nuisance or an attractive nuisance. I look at this in the cars. Classic cars as a car 25 years or older. I think that should be in its law. That's one thing. It's the opinion of the administrator as to the cause and what's standard or what's standard period. I think that's kind of subjective. The definition of the 3 license still says the police maintain or keep on the place of the building. Some people can't find a proper home, some people don't have the space for a home. Many people have store cars so I just want that to be considered. Protect the residents because I'm not really comfortable with the administrator's opinion. In this town, we've had some problems in the past couple of years, and the proper language in it without really making it subjective to somebody's opinion. The other thing is cars that takes and collectors that pay for those aren't the only type of cars that people keep. You know, we have to pay for this surveillance allowance to take in to the point not period. So there's subjective. The to be taken care of. Says complaints, correction, or liaison by town. And says take necessary steps to correct or remedy violations either by town plan or plans or by town's designated or agent. I hope you know that sentence. I disagree with the town of Pleasant Valley employees do it.
Thank you. So we just got an update from somebody who's listening online, so when you're speaking into that microphone, you could just stand straight up. You don't have to get right close to it. That particular microphone happens to be a little stronger and picks up. These are like in one direction, otherwise you get longer here, you get closer, but they don't pick up so much over here, right? But that one picks up while you're away, so
Okay.
it gets, everything Carol just said was mumbled, apparently, so sorry. Yeah. So just stand straight.
Start by name and see what it's over. Suzanne Helen, Route 44. So regarding parcel number 607051, the proposal before the town board to have the town perform a generic environmental analysis for the developer of 71 Wigston Road, who has requested a rezoning of 27 acres from medium density residential to hamlet residential.
Hold on. Not on the agenda, you might want to hold that on till later on.
So that's you're referencing something that's not actually on our. It is. Sorry, I just remembered.
Sorry, we've been holding on.
Never mind.
Go right ahead.
Go ahead. You're good, thank you.
The developer has submitted a conceptual outline in lieu of a site-specific plan to accompany its request. The developer further suggests that the conceptual plan is sufficient for the town to analyze the plan's environmental impacts under State Environmental Quality Review, SEQR. Please note, the proposal would create a hamlet residential zone that is more than 2 miles away from the hamlet of Pleasant Valley. One question that arises is, does extending the hamlet residential zone also entail creating a variety of commercial land uses that are typically associated with the developing a new hamlet? If not, the concept of a walkable Pleasant Valley hamlet where hamlet residents eat, shop, recreate, worship in close proximity to where they live seems to potentially be turned on its ear by the developer's proposal. Does anybody really think that people who live in a proposed development are apt to trudge more than 2 miles in 98-degree heat or snow, slush, and hail into the hamlet of Pleasant Valley without the infrastructure in place to do so? In addition, a 2007 municipal aquifer report for Pleasant Valley put together by the chosen companies revealed that most of the developed parcels in both the medium-density residential 1-acre zone and low-density residential 2-acre zone are already smaller than recommended to sustain water, well, and septic system use as determined by their soil type. Absent a site plan, infrastructure concerns such as these make it next to impossible to produce even a generic environmental impact statement, since the developer is offering an open-ended proposal that is dependent on rezoning and revising the town's comprehensive plan. If the board accepts the application, however, since zoning is an expression of the town's comprehensive plan, it is my opinion that the town board, an elected board, that does not operate in a bubble, but it's the representative body of the voters of Pleasant Valley, can best assess the vision of town residents and how they evaluate the current comprehensive plan and zoning. Therefore, the town board has the benefit of the town attorney for her guidance. She is one who has broad experience with environmental and land use, in addition to municipal law issues. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Kathy Gerger, Pleasant Valley. When I was here 2 weeks ago, I had questions about Helen Aldridge and the merging of the parcels of land, and I did what you asked me to, and I wrote an email, and I have still not received answers to my questions from the lawyer.
Do you want to handle this?
Sure. I am working on it. I mean, we've had a ton of things that have been asked of me, and I have had to, try to get to them as I can, and I haven't quite gotten to that yet, but I will.
Well, you're talking about bookkeeping and so forth with Helen Aldridge tonight, budgeting, and what else is there, well drilling and so forth. If we don't know if putting the parcels together was done according to policies and procedures, how can you go ahead and start that tonight?
I'll give that one to you, too.
Yeah, we're researching it. We found that certain things were done. We may need to take some additional steps, but it's clearly a town park. It has been for a long time, and if there are things that need to be cleaned up, we will take care of that.
So you're going to vote on budgets to do work without having everything cleaned up?
That would be more of a question for us, I think, but yes, that's what it looks like.
Can I just
go
ask one question that was raised was whether a seeker review was done. We did locate the records that there was a determination made by the previous board that it fell into the type 2 criteria, so that a full seeker review is not needed. So that was done last year. There were steps taken to merge the parcels. They may or may not be complete. So we can look at that, but it's up to the board, but I don't believe it affects the drilling of the well in any way.
The mergers of how, did it ever go through the planning board? I don't remember any resolutions ever being voted on. I don't remember anything being said about it going through the planning board. How is this all taking place if policies and procedures were not followed?
I can answer this one for you, Kathy, because I was on the board at the time. It was the belief of the prior supervisor as well as the assessor that the assessor can actually combine two lots as long as the owner is the same without any much guff, and that's what happened. We actually wrote a check to Dutchess County. There's vouchers that we all signed for it.
Who all signed?
The board at the time.
All the board members signed it?
We could pull the voucher, plus the town attorney at the time, Paul Ackerman, was involved in this decision as well.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Let's
Let's just keep guessing
Yeah.
where they are. Emily, you would add?
I was just going to add that I think this is something that I will research as the board asks me to, and we'll get back to the board about so the board can make decisions.
I mean, was there ever even a resolution passed to have this merger done?
I don't think there's anything more we can say right now.
First of President, Gary Burns, Part 25 for the First, I'd like to talk about Aldridge Park. I see we got a grant, which is very nice, but that is still only not fully. Well, the price went on, and I think they had a saying, a cart before a horse, or etc., a horse before a cart. This horse got out and ran a long time ago. I see the plans as a necessity, there is still a proposal for a snack bar. I spent most of my adult life running a business. Putting a snack bar is a business. You have to hire somebody to run it, handle the money, etc. At the price of snacks, it's not going to pay. Why bother? Down here in our park, years ago, when we were swimming there, we had a snack bar. At the end of that whole thing down there, due to various problems, the snack bar was not making money. It was not being used. We're creating the same problem. And it probably doesn't affect anything, but a progressive referendum was called for everything up there, and it's just saying to keep moving along. Second one, honestly, I couldn't find another, but I saw it somewhere. Number 2. Those discussions. I went through various minutes, specifically revenue accounts. I went through a whole bunch of minutes and couldn't find any motion or discussion with regard to this question. Could you please explain it to me? I don't.
What's the question? What question? What's the question?
What is the discussion about on these global accounts?
If you don't, do you mind?
Go right ahead.
So it's of the belief of some of us that every employee should create their own Google account to log in and access stuff in the cloud. Not just have one account that everybody signs into, because then when things get changed on our website, we have no onus to know who changed them, right? It all just says Pleasant Valley-NY@gmail.com, right? Not a single, I can't pinpoint who changed what in the cloud files that we charge everybody out of the building and zoning office. But, so.
That's what
I went a little too far.
Okay, is that just technical stuff goes over, sometimes it doesn't come out of the
Basically,
way.
what would happen, just to answer, I know where your question's going, Gary. So basically, what would happen is, person X would be given access to what they need during the day. The board would be the giant oversight committee, if you will. And then in terms of getting people individual access to what they need to access, we could do that in a heartbeat. And then that way, everything's pinned to an individual who either uploaded a document, downloaded a document, moved it here, moved it there, did whatever. We could see who did everything.
So what it basically is that right now we use one username and password for every employee in the town hall. And the discussion is going to be is if we should move to where every employee has their own sign-in and password. Because right now when everything's changed, it shows that Councilman Mazzella changed it, even though he's not the one actually changing it. It's basically every employee uses his username and password. So that's going to be the discussion.
Okay. Just to show my stupidity, which is easy, I got an account. I wanted to go to an account on Facebook, we're going to have an account. This will allow for a person in the working there, it's going to be completely different from your personal account.
Correct. That's what they would use. They would use their town. They would use their town email address because everybody has one. They would use their town email address to be able to log into the Google Suite to access whatever they would need or wherever.
Okay, because I will not work for you if you're going to get into my private account. Okay. So right now, the law is any other people can look at what's going in, correct?
Well, yeah, you lost me on that
Well,
one.
I think
Not-
what he's
no.
saying, one person who has the account can look at just about everyone else's thing, but you really can't.
No, so all you get to look at is their activity.
Right.
So
But, okay, can you look at the activity?
you can, actually.
You can just go into the account?
That's the problem right now, is that everybody has the same username and password.
What's that?
Everybody has, so like your Facebook, it would be like, I have your Facebook username and password, Greg has your username and password, and we all go into your own account and change things around, and you go to try figuring out who changed it, and it says that you changed it, but I actually changed your stuff. So that's the situation we're in right now, which obviously you see the issue with, that it should.
I was good. Okay, so we're kind of trying to eliminate that.
So we're not all in your personal information.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
I went to school.
Thank you, Gary. Anyone else?
Hello, Mary Meyer, Clark Heights. My question is the bank account that's being opened for the Helen Aldridge Park restroom. Now, what money is it going in that? Is that the grant money that's going to be used for 3 bathrooms at 3 different parks?
So I believe, no, I believe that's going to be separate, right? That goes to the project directly.
I didn't read the resolution, so I don't know if all 3 parks' names were on that resolution, or is there just one bank account for 1 bathroom, even though that grant was for 3 bathrooms for 3 different parks?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the town board already approved a sum of money, and it hasn't been placed in a separate bank account. It's in a separate accounting account within the bookkeeping, but it's not in a separate bank account. So the idea is just to put that money into a separate bank account. As far as the grant, usually grants are on a reimbursement basis.
Okay.
So the town will get paid back after it spends the money. So the town doesn't get that money up front to put into the account.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Grant money you only get after.
You spend it.
So at some point, there has to be some plan for all 3 bathrooms at all 3 parks.
Correct.
Not necessarily at
There
the
is.
same time, but yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I think she's going to go do that, actually.
I don't know, I'm going to try to clear some of this up. Last year, the board had passed a resolution to do the Helen Aldridge, and they created a capital fund, which is H19. And so I believe it was $361,000 was put to the side for the Helen Aldridge Park project. But it was never set up into another bank account. So it's kind of just been sitting in a bank account on the side, which is fine. The state controller is fine with that. There's no problem with that. But as a board, they'd like to see it broken out. And I have to agree, it's just nicer when you see all the different bank accounts and you can see, it just makes it easier and cleaner. That's what we have left in the Helen Aldridge account. Right now, the only thing we've paid for is the engineering costs, and I can provide that if anybody's interested. All right? So I hope that kind of cleared up all the questions about that. I'm trying to, yeah.
But you had 2 rep accounts, correct?
Mhm.
And so excuse me for bringing it up, but last year, initially, you were pulling money out of the wrong rep account for Helen Aldridge. So you had to
redo the resolution so that you would pull it out of the right rec account. So you already have that money in a rec account, correct?
There's two separate recreation accounts, yes. And when the board first brought forth the resolution, they were taking it from an account that needed a permissive referendum. That did not go well. So somehow they decided to take it from another account, from a park trust account that does not need a permissive referendum. And that's how they created it.
I know.
Well, you can go on up and ask a question, go ahead.
I got another question. The money that you're putting in this bank account, that's town money? What is with this grant we got? Does that go in there too?
No, the grant, I believe, is you have to spend the money in order to get the money back.
So let me give it to you in a nutshell. So, Mary Meyer had a question. All 3 bathrooms get made, right? One at Helen Aldridge, which is going to have a well and a septic. The other 2 are, I guess, are going to be earmarked for Bauer and Rettel, correct? So at the end of those 3, all 3 projects, we get back $100,000. So let's say it cost us $300,000 to do all 3 bathrooms, right? At the end of the $300,000 spent, the grant pays back $100,000, so we've spent $200,000 for all 3 bathrooms. So we'll have 3 bathrooms at 3 different parks, and that's a good thing, all right? And then we get back $100,000, so we technically, all in a nutshell, after all of the hoopla and everything was over with, and back and forth, we've got a bathroom at Helen Aldridge, a bathroom at Rettel, and a bathroom at Bauer, and we only spent $200,000. A little bit more tolerable, yes, no? Okay.
How long is that grant for?
How long?
How long do you have to use it?
Danielle? 2 years. Anyone else? Not hearing any more questions, I move to close the meeting to the public.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. And we right into the fire, right after that, right to the building. New business.
Oh, I don't think we can, because we already voted to adopt the agenda the way it is, unfortunately. We can't move the agenda around, can we? I was just thinking of, yeah, unfortunately, just to get the new clerk out of here. But I don't think so.
I have no problem moving.
Can we move it around?
Can we do it?
All right,
I'll make a motion, we modify the agenda.
Yeah,
to-
let's just move new business resolutions number 1 to the front, just to
Yes.
expedite.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay,
So at this point, we're going to move to,
just the first resolution.
we'll move to the first resolution. Resolution number 8003, 2022, whereas Town Law, Section 2915, establishes the position of bookkeeper, which position shall be filled by appointment of the supervisor to serve, is the right one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Supervisor to serve at his or her pleasure, and whereas the town board desires of hiring an account clerk part-time for the bookkeeping office to assist the bookkeeper and perform routine duties which may include filing within an established file system, looking up information in a manual and/or automated systems, transposing and verifying information, photocopying, courier duties, light typing, taking messages, and keeping activity records. See job description and other duties as assigned. And whereas the account clerk part-time is considered to be in a non-competitive class pursuant to the rules of classified civil service of Dutchess County, and whereas the town Pleasant Valley advertised for the qualified candidates to fill said position, and whereas Graciana Overton has expressed an interest in serving in such capacity as account clerk part-time for the building office, and whereas the 2022 adopted budget appropriated funds for the position of clerk for bookkeeping office, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of Pleasant Valley does hereby appoint Graciana Overton to the position of account clerk part-time for the bookkeeping office at the salary of $17.50 per hour for 20 hours per week, with a probationary period of 6 months, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor and the town bookkeeper are hereby authorized and directed to file any and all documents necessary to officiate an intent of this resolution. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
The only thing that I will say is, it's nice having you here, or nice having you back. And when you read one of the bookkeeping's offices, you said building office. So, yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right, just for clarification purposes, for those watching.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome. Welcome back, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Okay.
all right.
So,
Going back to the discussion items?
go back the way we had it now?
Yep,
All
that
right,
way she-
let me just close this off.
Do you care if I start
Go
with the
ahead.
building? Go ahead. So, just to keep this as simple as possible, and not to get into like any personnel issues or anything like that. So basically, a couple weeks ago, the board realized that, so back up a little bit, the board obviously, as you know, over the period of a couple months, looked at changing the permit fees that were charged in the building and zoning department. We adopted that, I think, back in
February.
February. And basically, then it was executed, I think, by the end of the month. And they were pretty much correct for what we adopted. And then it was discovered about 2 weeks ago that the building permit fees were changed. And it was discovered that for whatever reason, the planning and building and zoning department was charging fees that we didn't authorize them to charge. So the discussion tonight is more about what the plan is as a board to rectify any fees that were charged on things that we didn't authorize, and to also come up with a plan to hopefully have a resolution to adjust this stuff next. I mean, I hope, I would be fine with helping get it so we can pass a resolution next meeting to fix them.
Yeah, just to clarify, I think what the problem was that there are a number of items that, when we adopted the fee schedule, I think what the board intended was for there to be certain items that there was no fee for those things. Those were typically things that overlapped with something else, so that someone was already paying one fee, and we didn't want them to pay another fee for the associated item. But rather than write no fee on the fee schedule, it says no permit, and that was the confusion, because those are items that by law, the building department needs to issue permits for. And so I think that was the source of the problem. So if what the board intended was for those to just be a zero fee, the simple solution would just be to re-adopt the fee schedule with zeros in place of those things that say no permit. What the building department is doing right now is charging zero fee for those items, but still issuing permits. Now, that doesn't solve the retroactive problem that you're bringing up, but I just wanted to clarify.
So they've already gone ahead and changed it back to zero? So, I mean, is it simple enough that I just make a motion that everything that says no permit on here? Because I have, I mean, if you guys are comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I mean, can I do that?
Yeah.
So, all right, if you guys are okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
I make a motion that, we'll just look at these ones because they're the only ones. The ones that talk about the building permit fees, anything which is electrical, plumbing fixture schedule, heating schedule, HVAC, furnace, gas, oil tanks, water heater, commercial alarms, fire sprinklers, they're allowed to do a permit, but the fee is zero to both commercial and residential.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll have a change for next meeting.
Yep.
We just did it, we're good now?
Yeah, we just did the change.
All right.
Do we need to make a motion to have somebody audit the past to retroactive go back and, or no? Do we just audit it and then we figure out what the total is and then we pass a resolution?
It
The
doesn't
latter.
matter, but it wouldn't hurt to just put that on the record.
Okay, so I'll make a motion, well, who wants to do it
Well,
though?
that's the thing, who do we have to do something like that?
It's gotta be one of us, I would assume.
Do you want to ask the building department to give you a report on that, or?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
I don't think it would, they would be they would be able to do it. You really shouldn't order it yourself.
Yeah, no, that's
You're not- You really shouldn't do that. So what do you say we have Mr. Reifenberg, who's so close to the situation? We have you get the...
Don't say no.
And I'll help you with the audit. If you want to come on, we'll do the audit together.
All right, so I'll make a motion that the board, most notably Mike Reifenberg, will continue, or will conduct an audit in the building and zoning office of the
I second.
fee issue.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, staircase, another fine mess you got.
Me, okay. And what was lightly touched upon already, the employee Google accounts
Yep.
and access cloud-based storage.
So,
Mr. Mazzella.
Mike and I was talking to Councilman Reifenberg about this, and, you know, being that we're both on the IT committee, we feel that, look, what we store in the cloud is not anything earth-shattering. It's meeting minutes, it's building permits, it's that kind of stuff that really has no real bearing. We have it all stored locally, so this is stuff that, shouldn't change on a whim, I believe, I feel, and two, not everybody needs to have administrator access to get all these files. So I feel that we should set up some kind of hierarchy. Google does a great, we use Google already. Google does a great setup for that we can give people access to whatever shared folders they need. The building department needs the building department files. The town clerk needs the town clerk files. It's not rocket science. So it avoids what happened previous in number one here. So that way, you know, someone can't go in and just change a building permit without us knowing.
Well, I think also is that any other organization, you never have just one username and password that every employee uses. And I think it just makes common sense that every employee would use their town-issued email, set up an account, and this isn't to restrict people from having to ask permission to do their job. It's so, you know, I don't have access to stuff that I don't need to have access to, and, you know, vice versa. So it's just, I'm surprised we went this long with the system that we have in place now. It just makes sense. So, and there could be more discussion of how that's going to be operated. But,
So, my concerns, because I'm not exactly, I sit with Gary on this one. So essentially, this would be like, we all get our own key to the door.
yeah, it's like you have your own account, I have my own account, and then once you set up your account, for example, let's just say our new account clerk. She goes in, sets up her account, right? And then we give her access to all of the stuff that the bookkeeping office would have access to. There'd be no reason that she would need access to the planning and zoning department or the clerk's office stuff. But right now, the username and password gives every employee access to every single thing. And I'm not saying that people are going to use it in a bad way, but the problem we have right now is when things are changed, it all says Councilman Mazzella changed them. So there's no way for us to actually go back and see who's changing stuff. And this is an example, is Councilman Mazzella changed the stuff on the website. So,
Well, I was going to blame him anyway.
oh yeah.
So is everybody else watching.
Okay, so we get an account, and it's like a sign-in. It's almost like you have your own passcode to get into a building, right? Okay.
And it's not a recurring thing. You don't have to ask permission every time.
Right.
Basically, once you set up your account, you'll be given access to this stuff, and that's it.
Here's my question. Who is the arbiter of watching who's doing what, and who has the final say of that?
Well, I don't think anybody's watching what.
Let me give you an example. Let's say our new person gets their account set up. Let's say she decides, I want to see what the town clerk is doing.
She
And
can't.
She can't.
She can't, no.
She won't be able to do that.
Correct.
If
The only people would be us.
Would be us, okay. Okay. Sounds
I
good.
would just suggest that whatever the administrator account is that assigns everyone else's authorizations, that is accessible by more than one person, so that you don't have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if everybody's okay with it, I'll make a motion that going forward from today, every town employee must set up their own Google account, and the 5 of us can have access to the current username and password, and they will use their own individual usernames and passwords for their job.
Well, well, I'll second that, but I want to make a change to that. There's no need, I mean, again, I'll set everybody up here that's up on this table as an administrator, so everybody should just create their own Google username and password, i.e., if anybody goes in and changes it, we could be like, look, Mike, see, you uploaded it at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? That way, one of us can't change it, and we would then all point fingers at each other because it has one person's name on it.
That's
But
right, that was my
everyone creates an account,
Yeah.
and then we can grant access to everybody, and there's one account that honestly, the Pleasant Valley-NY, that was used on outside sources to help update our website prior to the pandemic and prior to, I think, me being born, was we could probably do away with that at some point, and then we can hand over the rights from one board to the next board. So,
Okay.
Do we have to vote on that?
We have to?
you don't really do any of that.
Motion, he seconded.
Do we have to vote on that, Emily?
Oh, yeah,
Right, okay.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. And then, oh, yeah, we gotta vote on the amendment, we voted on the amendment, now we gotta vote on the resolution. Oh, you gotta say it one more time. Yeah, we voted, yeah, I made a motion to change it, so we all create one,
Right.
and we voted on
I
that.
seconded that.
Yep,
And now,
now we gotta vote on everyone creating their own Google account.
so do I hear a motion? We have the motion
Motion.
ready?
We have a motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay,
All the amendments.
sorry.
Okay, where are we now? We're over at
Rec committee.
Rec Committee, Councilman Mazzello again.
So I was talking to the rec committee, so just so we're all clear, we have a rec committee of board members, and we have a rec committee that was established by the board a couple years ago that we have people appointed to.
That's a rec
That's the
committee.
rec committee
We're a
that I'm on.
subcommittee.
Yeah, we're a subcommittee, so that's the rec committee that I'm on. I've talked to the rec committee. I don't have the time with my new job and my family. Well, I told you that, but I didn't officially, so I'm resigning from the rec committee. But I did ask the rec committee which one of us they would want, because they feel that they need a board with liaison to start getting some projects in the motion. They've asked for you, Mary. So,
Okay?
I will make a motion that we acknowledge my resignation from the rec committee, and that we appoint Mary Albrecht to the rec committee to fill the remainder of my term, which expires in
So
2025.
that means she remains on the subcommittee, which you've already given her. the-
Uh-huh.
Second.
All in favor?
Should we roll call this one, Mary?
Okay, that was it?
That was it, that was it.
Okay.
All right.
Before we go into resolutions, since it's going for 9 o'clock, I'd like to request about a 3-minute recess, because it looks like we're only halfway through the meeting.
Sure. I'll mute.
Make a motion?
I'll
He did make a motion,
I'll second Keith's motion.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. All in favor?
Aye.
opportunity for the break. Good call, Keith. Okay. So, on to the next one, which is, we already did the first one, resolution authorizing payment of abstract 82022. Town Board Resolution Number 8004, 2022, authorizing payment of abstract 8 of 2022. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley, the Town Board has audited the bills presented by the Town Clerk, and an abstract has been compiled. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to pay all claims as follows for the year 2022. Abstract 8, 2022, General Fund claims, $93,942.39. Abstract 8 of 2022, Highway Fund claims, $397,608.61. Abstract 8, prepaid, $6,781.51. Streetlights, $4,203.91. Abstract 8, ambulance fund of $14,245.80. Notice the difference, by the way.
Yeah, I
Did you
know.
it? Just a point of order. And abstract 8 of 2022, Helen Aldridge bathroom project of $37.50.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Any discussion?
Yeah, just real quick, the supervisor mentioned, just so everyone out there knowing, the supervisor made mention of the ambulance fund being $14,245. Don't?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, okay. Forget what okay. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
So any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Town Board Resolution 8005, 2022, Budget Modification 2022 General Fund, whereas the Town Board of Pleasant Valley has expenditure for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines, and whereas the Town Supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments. And resolve, the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, and direct the bookkeeper and the Town Supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Account A1410.200, Town Clerk Equipment Computer, increase $1,300. Account A7110.200, Parks Picnic Tables, increase $4,750. Account A1460.499, Record Management, decrease $1,000. Account A1620.428, Software Computer, decrease $300. And account A1620.431, Grant Writer, decrease $4,750. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Town Board Resolution 8006, 2022, Budget Modification to the Highway Fund. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure of revenue for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. And whereas the department head finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments. And resolved, the Town Board of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes and empowers and direct the bookkeeper and the town supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Account DA.3501, Department Consolidated Highway Chips, increase $118,074.99. Account DA3501, Consolidated Highway Chips, increase $32,703.99. $1,000,000.40. Account DA 5112.201, CHIPS expenditures increase $150,778.39. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 8007, 2022, resolution authorizing termination of bank account for fuel tank depot project. Whereas the town established a bank account for the installation of the fuel tank depot at the town garage, and whereas the town bookkeeper advises that the Chase Bank account numbers 700320127 contains $2,409.32, and whereas the town highway superintendent advises that the fuel depot project is complete and the remaining funds are not needed for that project, and whereas the town board finds that it is in the best interest of the town to close the account and return the funds to the Highway Equipment Reserve Fund. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the town supervisor to close the Chase Bank account number 700320127 with a balance of approximately $2,409.32, and to place the funds in the town's Highway Equipment Reserve Fund, New York class, NY-01-0862-0005. Do I hear a motion?
So
So
moved. Second.
Any discussion? Keith, one. All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 8008, 2022, authorizing the establishment of a bank account for the Helen Aldridge Park restroom project. Whereas by Resolution 6113-2021, the Town Board authorized expenditure of $361,620 to install a bathroom facility including well and septic at Helen Aldridge Park, Bakerfield. And whereas the Town Board bookkeeper advises that the funds for the capital project have been placed in general fund savings account with Chase Manhattan Bank account 455238571, and whereas expenses to date for the project total of $15,981.50, leaving a remaining allocation of $345,638.60. And whereas the town board finds that it is the best interest of the town to open a new bank account for the Helen Aldridge Park restroom project to separate and track the funding for the project. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the town supervisor to open a new bank account with Chase Manhattan Bank, Chase Bank, I'm sorry, my age, for Helen Aldridge Park restroom project, and to transfer the general fund savings account into the new account, the balance of the funds allocated to the project in the amount of approximately $345,638.60, subject to exact calculation by the town bookkeeper. Do I hear a motion?
Can I just make a comment? I put that clause in subject to exact calculation because there was $37.50, but I think you just approved paying that, so that is the right number now.
Now it's the right number? Okay.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
And then, yeah,
Discussion.
Melanie had, during the break, she came back and verified that is the right amount. So I make a motion to amend the resolution to strike the word approximate in the last sentence before the total, and then to strike the area in parentheses.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor of the?
Aye.
Aye. And now,
we still have to vote on the resolution. We're
Right.
voting to amend it.
all right, so we have a second, a motion and a second? And
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, Town Board Resolution 8009, 2022, authorizing release of request for proposals for the well drilling at Helen Aldridge Park. Whereas the town has planned the installation of a new restroom facility at Helen Aldridge Park, and whereas by Resolution 6113-2021, the Town Board authorized funding for the restroom project and determined that the improvement was exempt from environmental review pursuant to SECRA, and whereas the Recreation Director has recommended that the town proceed with the installation of the well needed for the restroom facility, and whereas in accordance with the town's procurement policy, a written request for proposals, RFP, should be released to seek a contractor to provide the specified services, and whereas the town engineer has prepared the attached RFP for the required work. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Pleasant Valley authorizes and directs the town clerk to release the attached RFP for the well drilling at Helen Aldridge Park. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Discussion?
I wanted to ask if you want the date to still be August 30th. I'm not sure when you wrote this.
Oh, yeah.
If you were thinking we were going to do it at the last meeting.
Yeah.
That might be a little tight.
So you want to change it to September 15th? Okay. I make a motion that we edit that date to September 15th, just to give it the 30 days.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor of the resolution? Aye. September 15th, right? Okay, Emily, these yours, right? You can read this one. Go right ahead. And you can read the next one, too. She writes the Magna Carta, every one of these things. Go right ahead.
I don't write the laws, I guess I do.
Yeah, in this case
you did, yeah.
I meant the laws that require all these things. Okay. Town of Pleasant Valley, Town Board Resolution 8010/2022, resolution commencing the local law adoption process for proposed local law B of 2022 entitled, "A Local Law Repealing Chapter 95 and Amending Chapter 98, Section 98-34 of the Town Code with regard to the outdoor storage of junk motor vehicles." Whereas the town zoning administrator has notified the town board that the town code contains 2 sets of regulations relating to outdoor storage of junk motor vehicles and has advised that the town code be modified for clarity. And whereas the town board has determined that it's appropriate to amend Chapter 98 zoning, Section 98-34 junk motor vehicles, and to repeal and remove Chapter 95 outdoor storage of junk motor vehicles. And whereas the town board has determined that these changes can be made by local law in accordance with the authority vested in the town board by Section 10 of the municipal home rule law. And whereas the attorney to the town has prepared a proposed local law amending Chapter 98 and repealing Chapter 95 of the town code, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts proposed local law B of the year 2022 for the purposes of commencing my local law adoption process. And be it further resolved that pursuant to the provisions of SECR, the town board hereby determines that the adoption of proposed local law B is a type 1 action, and the town board accepts the attached SECR EAF Part 1 for the proposed action. And be it further resolved that the town board determines that it will be the only agency with approval authority over the proposed action, and therefore declares itself to be the lead agency for conduct of the environmental review under SECR. And be it further resolved that the town board directs the town clerk to forward proposed local law B to the Dutchess County Planning Board for its review and advisory opinion pursuant to Section 239M of the New York State General Municipal Law. And be it further resolved that the town board directs the town clerk to forward proposed local law B to the town of Pleasant Valley Planning Board for its review and advisory opinion pursuant to Section 98-101 of the Pleasant Valley Town Code. And be it further resolved that a public hearing on said local law will be held on date that we need to fill in.
Let me look at our meeting schedule. Hold on.
We know the 24th's out.
The 24th, that week. So our next Monday meeting would be the 5th, or not, sorry, that's Labor Day. So our next meeting.
No, it's the
Yeah.
Wednesday after.
It's the 7th. So our next meeting's the 7th of September, or we could do the 19th. That might be the easier one to do.
I say the 19th.
I say September 19th. Okay, September 19th.
Okay. Public hearing will be held on September 19th, 2022 at the Town of Pleasant Valley Town Hall located at 1554 Main Street, Pleasant Valley, New York at 7:05 p.m. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to give public adjacent to Pleasant Valley pursuant to section 98-101 of the Pleasant Valley Town Code.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Any discussion?
Want me to just explain a little bit about what this is? So, the zoning administrator brought to our attention that there are two sections in the code that are very similar but not exactly the same. And so what this law does is it repeals Chapter 95, which prohibited the outdoor storage of junk motor vehicles, but it defines junk motor vehicles as being unregistered and partially disassembled or damaged or other things. And so it takes that section out, and it amends the zoning section on junk motor vehicles, which also prohibits the outdoor storage of junk motor vehicles, but it just defines them as unregistered. And then what we also did was, at Sarah's suggestion, we added some exceptions to just address some of the common reasons that someone might have an outdoor unregistered motor vehicle. And those were mainly taken out of the town of Poughkeepsie's code. So we added those exceptions in here. And yeah, everyone can take a look and make their comments at the public hearing, and then we can fine tune it from there if you need to.
Okay. So we can fine tune it from there, or are we voting on it from there?
Yeah.
That's the thing, because this goes out to vote, right? So we fine tune it before we get there, or no?
What?
Well, for instance, former Supervisor Carol Campbell made some valid points.
Yeah. If the board would like to, before scheduling the public hearing, if you'd like to take another look at this and make some more adjustments on it, and we could not schedule the public hearing tonight and make some changes to it.
We could still have a public hearing now, if we just like Carol made a pretty good point about the opinion of the zoning administrator.
Yeah.
So
after the hearing,
change that word, it would go
So
into
we
the
can-
public hearing that way, right? So
No.
everybody would see.
Well, what I think she's getting at is we can make changes, like after the public hearing's over, we can make changes and have another public hearing. Right, like, so we can hear what people have to say about it, we can actually use that input, make
Okay.
changes, and then come up with another one.
Yeah.
Right, like,
That's
it's,
fine.
we're hearing from, right, like, we're getting people to come out and talk to us about this is the idea, yeah.
Okay.
So it can be amended from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on how much it's amended, we might need to do a second hearing.
Right, okay.
At the end of the vote.
Okay.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But I just would say that because it's a zoning change, that's why all those things have to be done as far as all the referrals.
I got you.
And you can keep going there, Emily.
Resolution 8011/2022, resolution commencing the local law adoption process for proposed local law C of 2022 entitled "A Local Law Establishing Chapter 96 of the Town Code Regulating Grass Maintenance and Vacant and Abandoned Properties." Whereas the town zoning administrator has notified the town board of the need to regulate the maintenance of lawns at vacant and abandoned properties in the town. And whereas the town board has determined that it is appropriate to add a new chapter to the town code to provide standards and remedies for the maintenance of lawns at vacant and abandoned properties. And whereas the town board has determined that these changes can be made by local law in accordance with the authority vested in the town board by section 10 of the municipal rule law. And whereas the attorney to the town has prepared a proposed local law creating a new chapter 96 of the town code for grass maintenance. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the proposed local law C of the year 2022 for the purposes of commencing the local law adoption process. And be it further resolved that pursuant to the provisions of seeker, the town board hereby determines that the adoption of proposed local law B is a type 2 action and no environmental review is required. And be it further resolved that a public hearing on said local law will be held on the 19th.
Should we do the 19th as well? for both?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do both.
That at 7:15.
Yeah.
Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Will be held on September 19th, 2022, 2022 at the Town of Pleasant Valley Town Hall, 1554 Main Street, Pleasant Valley, at 7:15 p.m. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to give, publish, and post notice of said public hearing as required by law.
So moved.
Second.
Any
And
discussion?
so what this one does, this is a brand new law. The zoning administrator had recommended a property maintenance law, but when we met and talked about it, it seemed like the main thing was really grass, overgrown grass. And so we went with a grass maintenance law that is modeled after one that some other towns use. It's pretty streamlined. It's only for vacant properties, vacant and abandoned. It's not just someone who goes on vacation and their grass gets a little long. It's like vacant properties. If the grass is higher than 10 inches tall, then the zoning administrator can send that person a notice. Then if they don't mow it, then the town board can order for it to be mowed by the town or a contractor or whatever. It doesn't include a public hearing because it's only for grass. But it does have that multiple step process. But the point, the problem with public hearings is by the time you get through that whole process, it's fall and it's too late to till the grass. So
Yeah, but we still have many homes, one are either abandoned,
Right.
or people have just let it go, or whatever the case may be, and they'll be there next year. Chances are, so it should be done. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll take the last one for you there. Town Board Resolution Number 8012, 2022, the appointment of Town Pleasant Valley Recreation Leader. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley intends to operate various programs open to its residents and members of the public, and whereas there currently exists a vacancy for the position of Recreation Leader part-time, and whereas Laura Cobb has expressed an interest in being appointed as Recreation Leader part-time for a maximum of hours of 20 hours per week, and be it further resolved that the Town Board of Pleasant Valley does hereby designate and appoint Laura Cobb as Recreation Leader part-time for the maximum of 20 hours per week with the probationary period of 6 months at the rate of $17.25 starting September 1st, 2022. And resolved, the Town Supervisor and Town Bookkeeper are hereby authorized, directed to file any and all documents necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So that takes care of that part. Old business. Councilman Reifenberg, bus stops. How are we coming along with our bus stops?
Good. So since last meeting, I reached out to Legislator Houston, who has been working with me with the county. We have Dave Whalen, who's in charge of the county bus system, trying to set up basically a meeting with all of us to, the first step is basically the county website shows specific bus stops, but then when you actually drive through town, the bus stop signs are at different locations and on the map. So the first part is trying to figure out if they're in the right spots, and if so, if they have to update the map. The second step would be to, if they're going to have to update the map or move some signs, to maybe work with them to see if they can position the bus stops, if they're moving them anyway, to locations that we already have town benches, so people aren't sitting on the curbs by the road, Route 44. And then if they can't do that, figure out where they're going to be, and then potentially propose to the board of maybe investing in some sort of bench or something at these bus stops. So thank you to her for getting the ball rolling, and hopefully I'll have an update at the next meeting.
Was there anything in your discovery from the past that came up at all that might have helped you in this process?
Actually, yes.
No.
You should show it, it's funny.
So Supervisor Del Vecchio found a folder about the previous research from the town on this. And I thought I was going to have a lot, and I think it was a joke, but it's just a picture of a bus stop in a folder. So hopefully, you can get past just having a picture in a folder, maybe get something done with this.
So I brought it up a long time ago, when we found the price, I think, this is a while ago, that was like $30,000, that picture that he showed you. And that was the end of that, and that's where that thing went right into the file.
Yeah, actually, in a lot of other towns, we do have a covered bus stops with benches, but I'm assuming the town ate the cost of that, not the county.
Probably, but
Yeah.
maybe they have, they've been doing a lot of grants and stuff, so if we get to that point where we have to invest, maybe there's other options.
Right. Okay, Youth Fall Winter Basketball League, Rec Director, anything further on this?
What we're gonna do is we're gonna pursue ahead with the race that we have. I'm entering the reservations for the gyms, and actually at Saturday's meeting, I don't know his name, Gully's last name.
Stanford.
Okay, Stanford, is involved with BOCES, and I was having issues with BOCES, so he generated, an email. I have a new contact, so we're gonna proceed and see what happens.
Okay, so is it safe to say we can take this off?
Yes.
Because we're just gonna go with what we have.
The only thing we were thinking of is maybe changing the instructional league, which we have time to do.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent. That's done. Kirchhoff rezoning application, still in holding. Anything, Emily, on it? Nothing new on that front?
Leave it on here or not, I mean, it's in their court, we told them that they needed to put in a more complete application if they wanted to proceed, so.
So
Right
we'll,
now, there's nothing in our.
we'll strike this from the agendas from this point on until we hear further?
Yeah.
Okay. Take this off. The next one, changing the name from Howfield, that's gonna get closer than we think. I think we're gonna hold that one more time for Mr. Canaro, so he can get it finished. We're just waiting on a sign, that's basically what we're waiting on. Bathrooms at Helen, Aldridge, Grant, we already, this is already done. That's that. Property changes of Stream Lane. Okay, so at some point, we're gonna have to make a decision whether we wanna go forward with this, and Emily,
I don't think we need to, because Warren is working on the mill site and what contract we need to update with the fire department, but I don't think we're gonna need to make it.
we're not gonna have to do this, right? So we can strike this from the record. Okay. And then alternate court constable will be in executive session, new judge replacement, executive session, update on our procurement policy. Mary Albrecht, anything on that?
I didn't want to put that on here for tonight.
Okay,
It's just too much to do.
Too much.
okay. So are we gonna take this off?
Oh, yeah, I'll send, well, you're gonna have it first.
Okay.
And then we just heard.
And then we just heard from the bus patrol, so that's something we have to decide what we're gonna do.
I mean,
And,
before we move on from that, do we want to talk about the bus patrol? So then if we all agree that, I mean,
I would like to, here's the thing, I would like to make a decision if we can before school starts. You know,
So
that's,
I assumed from how it was presented to us that they're already enabled, these are already enabled in Pleasant Valley because Arlington already signed on to this.
Right.
So what is there for us to decide then, is my question?
so if we say yes, they have a check for us for $1,700 and something dollars. that
Oh, so
can
we actually
accept.
have to say yes to get this check?
Yes.
Oh.
We have to opt in.
You have to opt in.
It doesn't cost us anything to
I
opt
know.
in, but we get money if we
That's
opt in.
true, that's true.
Frank, I know you have a problem with it, but.
I'm gonna
I gotta-
vote yes,
No,
it
but I
is what
do
it
have
is.
one question.
Okay.
He confused me,
Which one?
which doesn't take much, but he was talking about the whole thing, somebody asked him about, I think Gary.
microphone.
Microphone, you gotta
Yeah.
move closer.
I hate this thing. I think you asked the question, somebody asked the question about the courts, about the monetary.
Oh, yeah, so it's,
That confused me,
So-
because it never really,
In fact,
I've
that was
never
my,
felt like.
that was actually my question and my
I
concern.
don't feel like it got,
no, it got answered. So
But-
out of what the county gets, right? So the county and bus patrol the county's getting 40% and bus patrol is getting 60%. The gentleman here said it, you can rewind the
Right.
tape, right? Out of that 40% that we get 10%, and Dutchess gets 90 out of that 40.
I think it's actually,
Yeah.
I think the 90-10 split is first, was my understanding.
90-10 is
Yeah,
first.
The town gets 10, the county gets 90.
In other words-
Oh, so they're taking their cut out of the county's portion.
Out of the
Correct.
90, yeah,
Oh.
so.
Correct.
The question was,
No.
if they don't make a payment
And it has to come to court.
Court, if not court, is there an additional cost?
So that was,
That was different.
Right. And-
yeah, so I
Well,
did
that's,
ask.
yeah, that's what I don't
Hold on,
understand. because-
Councilman Reifenberg.
So I asked if, if they came to court, if there was a court fee, because that's where I'm thinking, right, is
Right.
10% of a $200 fine is $20. So if we have a ton of extra people coming to court here, I mean, is $20 really covering a prosecutor taking on 10,
Right.
15 more people?
That
So-
was my question.
So from what they said tonight, unless I was misunderstanding, is that there is no court fee on top of what they pay us, the 10%.
That's
So-
what I thought I heard, but then I'm
So-
thinking, why is it like that? I don't comprehend.
Well, he started citing laws and whatnot, so it might be something we want to look into before opting in, because if we inundate the court that's already over.
So here's the thing. Yes, that was my original question. I think that's what he first addressed when he first started speaking, because he listened to our tape last time. And then I had mentioned that. That was my first angst about this was, are we going to be paying our prosecutor to be trying all these extra cases or taking on this extra piece? What are we going to get back? Is it really worth it in that respect? And the numbers that they gave us, which I gave you before, it doesn't turn out to it that many people that fight it. They really don't. So it might be one person out of 35 that fight it from our town. And it really doesn't make a difference in their.
Kind of hard to fight it when they got you on camera.
Yeah, they kind of beat you. I mean,
I was gonna say, I could ask the special prosecutor if she has any experience with this, either,
well, she wouldn't because,
Well, I mean, maybe another town.
Yeah.
Well, no, I guess. if
You'd have to ask someone
started
else.
up yet for the-
Yeah, Pine Plains would be the only one that should.
Although, here's the question, is it happening in Pleasant Valley anyway, whether or not you all sign on? I mean, if the school district has approved this.
Yes.
people are
It is
getting-
happening?
Oh, yeah, it's already active.
Michael.
It's already
Already
active. They're already on the buses.
so we have to opt in to get.
We
our
have
money.
to opt in to get our money.
You already
I
have
mean-
them coming in here.
We haven't seen it yet, I don't know where.
Okay.
Somebody did get a ticket in Pleasant Valley, and actually the clerk asked me about it, because it's the first time she saw it. And apparently, it's a convoluted way of getting here. It doesn't just come in, it goes through the county, and then the county, or it goes through the vendor, and then the vendor sends it to the county, and then the county sends it to the offender, and then it comes here. And there was only one that came in, and it hasn't been adjudicated.
For privatizing tickets, we really put a lot of baggage on the county.
But then again, whether we opt in or not, it can still come through Pleasant Valley Town Court one way or another, right?
Exactly right.
through.
It's coming through
Yeah,
regardless.
so,
Listen, folks, it's
I get
here.
it.
We're doing
If the
it.
violation occurs in the town, it's gotta come here.
Yeah.
either way.
So I think your only choice is whether to take the money or not to take it.
Yeah.
She wins.
So that is.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah. Take the money.
Take the money.
Take the money.
So would it be safe to say, folks, that we could write a resolution to opt in?
Yeah.
Okay, for the next
Uh-huh.
meeting?
Might as well
All
opt in.
right, good.
Might as well write the resolution opt in.
Both Arlington and Hyde Park school districts have opted in.
Yep.
That's Millbrook?
I only know that
Millbrook is no.
I thought it said Rhinebeck was no.
Rhinebeck's the only one that opted out because the town opted out for them.
Right. But Millbrook's not opted in yet. I saw that on your list. Okay. At this point, we get to open up the meeting to the public for new business.
So
Or anything,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Anything new that we haven't touched on?
We kind of hit a lot tonight.
Man, we can go right ahead.
I've been waiting 10 months. So you're going to hear it all at once. I'm kidding, I'm just being funny.
Well, what have you been waiting for tonight when we have the longest meeting of our lives?
Okay, so don't get close to the mic, right?
Yeah,
Don't-
just, right about there, just stay comfortable.
Right about there. The building permits, it looks like the board has a resolution for that. I had it on my list to talk about because I had a couple of residents in town who brought up a couple things to me that had to do with building permits. So it looks like you guys got it under control, and I appreciate that. The intersection of North Ave and Route 44 is an accident waiting to happen because of the large trucks. I make a left turn out of there at least once a week. I have trucks now coming west on Route 44, trying to turn into North Ave, that go into the turning lane to get into North Ave. And so I know that Councilman Helen previously reported on a possible fix for this. So my question is, I'm just looking to see where we are with that. I think Councilman O'Hanlon was talking about moving the line back.
Yes, moving the stop line back so that trucks swinging off of 44 on the North Avenue aren't going to wind up taking the front end off a car. Just simply moving the stop line back. And DOT agreed with it in our meeting with DOT, so at this point, we're just waiting for them to actually get off their butts. And
I appreciate that. So, I know that you'll give an update when that happens. It's similar, making a right turn out of there as far as the car that's in the right lane. So I think that intersection is a problem. I would love to see.
There's no great big, unfortunately, permanent fix-all.
Yeah.
As long as we have truck traffic, it's going to be tight and congested.
Yeah, well, I want to address that too. I mean, it's fine that, the Corps obviously is doing other projects, so trucks are going in different directions than they were last year. And you can see the pavement, the color of the pavement from the trucks where they're making a right turn into North Ave. And I bring this up again, North Ave is a very narrow road. We spend money on sidewalks. It's dangerous to walk on the sidewalks. I would love to see, it's been talked about before, but I'm going to bring it up again. I would love to see North Ave have a weight limit on North Ave.
Have a what?
A weight limit. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Spectrum. I was wondering what was happening with our franchise agreement.
With Spectrum?
Yes.
Emily, you want to answer that?
Sure. So Warren Lansky, who I work with, has been working on the Spectrum agreement, and he would like to come to the next town board meeting and give an update on that. He has some recommended changes to the proposed contract.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's something I've been wondering. And the sales service in town has been horrible. Horrible. I just wondered if the town could look into that. I myself have a lot of problems with the cell service.
It's not Spectrum, but I can give you a small update on that, just for the fact that our old print shop used to be located below a Verizon tower in that building. I believe they deactivated the tower because they're painting and doing a bunch of construction to that building of upkeep. I don't know why they turned it off, but that's what I was told.
No, I'm just curious. I see it going on Facebook too. People are talking about it. But just to be clear, I was in Lake George over the weekend, and the cell service is crappy up there too, if it makes you feel any better.
There was horrible.
It was absolutely horrible, and I used to get terrific cell service up here. I actually have consumer cellular, and I know that they were running off AT&T towers. I did call them, and I did do some reading, and I think it has to do with going to 5G. And I don't think that anybody was ready for it, and I think that could be part of the problem that's holding us up.
I'm going to give you one more little piece that people all seem to have forgotten. About 8 months to 9 months ago, there was solar flares coming off the sun, believe it or not, that have affected our weather and have affected our everything, pretty much. So it could be part of that too. So there's a million little pieces to this lovely puzzle.
Well, the humidity and heat that we've had, it affects radio stations, it affects everything. So I'd like to go back to Mobile Life for a minute, if it's okay. I was wondering if the board might consider an RFP. I don't know where we are in Mobile Life's contract. And now that there are changes made in the operating hours, or the fire company would like to see change in the operating hours for Mobile Life, they've been great. It's not an attack on Mobile Life in any way. But I know an RFP was done when I was here, and that was quite a while ago, so I'm wondering, and I don't even know at this point how many mobile services are around, but I was wondering if the board might consider looking into an RFP, especially with the changes to the contract. I'm glad Greg's still here. I feel sorry that Greg is still here, because it's 9:15 already. I really appreciate the update on what's going on with the new town hall. My question, the report that you gave sounds to me like some of these things maybe should have been done previously, or maybe previously to buying the building. So some of the things we talk about, and I know that we're into buying the building, but when you think of the well, and you think of the septic, and you think of abatement for asbestos, and you think of some of those things, which leads me to my next question. There's been a lot of engineering done on this building, and I'm happy to see Greg here, and I like Greg a lot, I worked with him, but it looks like we're spending a lot of money on engineering costs. And so my question is whether or not there's a consensus on this board that we're going to go through with renovations on this building. Because if there's not a consensus on this board that we are, and that's where we're headed, and I know we tried to sell it, and that didn't happen, and I really need a town hall very bad. We're lucky that we have a drought. But I would hate to see the town continue to spend money on engineering if there is a consensus that we're actually going to pull the plug on this and go forward. So that's just something I put out there for you to think about. And then the last is, we had a pretty robust election year last year.
Really? I didn't notice.
To say robust, I guess, is to be nice. And what I see is, and one of the reasons I'm here, besides some of these things that piqued my interest, is that some of the things that we talked about still haven't come to fruition. I'm very happy that the town is talking about the new town hall, but there's town letter, there's the town website, which to me is a very, very big issue. I don't see that moving along. There's PECA and bringing them into zoning compliance. I know that there's still issues that I see with that. The PECA rezoning kind of hides, and these are things that we talked about, so I just mentioned them. One of the things that I talked about is the highway garage repairs. I really think this board needs to take a real good look at the highway garage and the repairs that it needs, because that is an accident waiting to happen with the floor falling through. You know, Riddle Park, I know that you have a committee, and I'm happy to hear reports on that. The transfer station, we raised the fees. Is a report of how we are doing, especially since it's budget season. I think the residents of the town might like to see a report. Mary worked very hard on the transfer station. Yeah, you worked very hard on that, I know. I think we have the roll-off truck running. We've raised the fees, we've added some things, we've taken some things back. I think it would be nice for the residents in the town to see that the fees that they've been paying and that is helping us out with that. Route 44 going through town, I hear that a lot. And one other last thing, marijuana.
Oh, we're not even there yet.
Got a long way to go on that.
Because when I was things we talked about, we're really going to start selling, so I appreciate being able to address the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Just really quick on the trucks that she was talking about. I don't know if it's something that I want to use the right name, Highway Committee, is that what you guys? Sure.
Yeah, with the highway subcommittee.
Yeah,
yeah.
so, I did notice, you can tell, I don't know if they're doing a paving project or whatnot, but if you go out to the intersection of North Avenue and 44, and you look at the roadway coming west, you can actually see the tire marks of where they're coming all the way out into the turning lane.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're making the turn on North Avenue. And I actually, the other day, basically, I was 2 cars behind the truck, and the car in front of me was going to make the right turn. And the truck went off to the left, and it must have been somebody who isn't from town, so they had no idea that this truck was about to make a right-hand turn, and they started moving up. So I don't know if it's something that that committee wants to, again, reiterate to the state, especially with them potentially coming in and fixing the road and all that stuff, if there's some way that they can mitigate, I don't know if it's a divider or, there has to be something there for them to not be able to swing out as far left as they are right now, because it's just a matter of time. And you can look at the road.
It's no question. And we can call, I've been calling them now, I've had probably about, I'm gonna say, easily over 50 to 60 complaints about traffic throughout our town. We're in the middle of a perfect storm, basically. Not only do we have 4 roads through our town that we really have no control over, which is Salt Point, 44, North Ave, and West Road. But we also have secondary roads that are being inundated by people who are trying to avoid these trucks and get to the Taconic quickly, because some of the upper Taconic closures. So we have that, plus we have 3 different companies. You would think it's just one company that has big dump trucks. We don't. We have 3. I just got a video of a truck coming down Traver Road, easily was doing about 80 miles an hour. And we have that, and then there's a bunch of work being done over at the substation over here, and they're bringing in fill again. And consequently, that particular trucking company was bringing fill was one of the ones that went through Junior's Lounge up on Salt Point Turnpike. So we are sitting in the middle of probably the perfect storm. If this law, Emily, that was just recently passed,
I'm researching it right now. I don't think it applies to towns under 50,000 people.
Thanks, Emily.
That just
you know,
popped out that
you could have waited a week to shatter my dreams.
Truly, breath of fresh air.
So, all right. We're in constant concert with the DOT. I call them every single time there's a complaint. Every time somebody calls, sends a picture, an email, I get on the phone, I go, I got another complaint. I've called the state troopers, we've had them out. We're going to work with the sheriff's department, I believe. Bob Balkine just asked for some help with that so that we can do something for the Camp New Teaming thing that was just mentioned recently. So we're on it. It's just, again, we don't have the control, and it's really frustrating. It's very frustrating. So,
The truck you mentioned, the trucks that are coming down Traver Road, when they get to that curve.
yeah, I've seen it.
Something's awful gonna happen.
I've seen it.
Because they can't stop fast enough, and they're gonna just flip or kill someone, it's gonna be bad.
Yep, we're well aware of it. We're well aware. All right, without any further, we have more? Okay. Sorry, we're still open to the public. All right.
one more. Do you need more of those?
First, I'd like to thank Supervisor. Look around this room. It's the first time it looked like a real meeting room. That's first. Easy ones first. I understand what it is, and I know he calls the state all the time. Taconic Parkway 144. Maybe I'll call the state. But there's an easy partial solution that can be done immediately, in my opinion. Traveling west on 44, come over the railroad pass. If they just make that right lane and put arrows right only, it's a price of paint.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Because I sit there and I come down that way quite often. I sit there and I don't know whether it's going left lane is going to go straight or whether it's going to go turn into the parkway. And they don't know either, because they figure it's a 4-lane highway. You know, if you don't live there, you got 4 lanes, so I'll stay in the right lane. It seems like a simple solution. Salt Point Turnpike. it's getting crazy. I'm getting dirt bikes running up and down it, no license, speeding in ridiculous numbers. The speed limit signs are not for today. I don't know, maybe they were good 40 years ago when I was supervisor, but they're not good now. The one way to 10 and Drive changes to 55. I can't see 10 and Drive from my house. They're doing 65. I can't get out of there in 2 seconds. That's just, and I understand the frustration. Yours is as bad as mine.
Call the sheriffs.
Why, did you do something wrong? No, I haven't, but
Actually, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea if everyone really start directing their calls right to the police departments, and, because it's like it's coming from me only, and it doesn't look as big.
that's what I thought of when I got here. I'll call it and see.
We could also pass a town edict where we all get in front of everybody and just go 20 miles an hour. We could all do this together.
This week is Speed Week.
Speed Week, that's right.
I happened to drive out to Sharon today, my wife and I. It's working. They had, I counted at least 3 pull over, and I saw a number of them. Why can't they enforce it 52 weeks?
Thank
It's
you, Gary.
income.
Well, Gary, on the thought of the dirt bikes and the ATVs, I think it does take enough people actually complaining to law enforcement, because for a long period of time on my road, I would have 3, 4, 5 of them going by at a time, wide open throttles, taking up the entire road. And all of a sudden, it pretty much came to a screeching halt because I guess the sheriff's department just got tired of the phone calls.
Okay, so for the traffic part, where I think we all understand, it's terrible.
Hi, Mary again. Just this little notice real quick. Borough Park has not been on any of these in weeks. We're already staying, flower garden, planning, conversations. Now we have bathroom going on. I hope you guys come together and let's get this going.
Anyone else? Without seeing or hearing anybody, I move we close the meeting to the
Second.
public. All in favor?
Sorry, I want to get there.
So before we go into executive session, I know we don't really have much to say, but I'd like to make a motion that allows the supervisor to draft a letter from the entire board to the New York State DOT addressing 44 North Avenue and Dutchess County for North Avenue about a weight limit, addressing New York State about the intersection at 44 in the Taconic, as Gary mentioned, and a separate letter to the state about Salt Point Turnpike and the speed limit. So 4 different letters, and all 5 of us sign it and send it.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And yes, I'll include Traver. We'll go down, we'll just keep, maybe, you know, let's go one better.
Isn't Traver's a town road, right?
One of ours, yeah.
So, I mean, who
We
do you
can
write a letter
change.
to?
Right. No, we could, but what we should probably do, and I'm maybe just go one step further, not only have our entire board sign it, but maybe we have a petition where everyone signs.
Yeah, so can we get that drafted up?
Absolutely.
ASAP?
Okay,
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
Please
Go
do.
to executive session for 105.1F personnel at 9:30.
all in favor? Aye.
I make a motion that we come out of executive session at 10:24 PM.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.